Welcome to today's edition of What Did I Miss? Joining me today is host of Fox Sports 1's First Things First and What's Right with Nick Wright. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Nick Wright. How are you? Finally.
Michelle, this is amazingly our first time speaking.
I know. I feel like we know all the same people, work with them, and yet this is our first time.
Can I start this with a potentially awkward interaction? I'm
Always.
going to, actually.
Yeah.
When Gabe, who produces your podcast and produces my podcast and is, owns a company and best I can tell lives on the beaches of Southern California building his media empire, when he told me that you wanted to have me on the show, I responded to him and said, I'll definitely do it. I'm afraid she doesn't like me though.
Wait,
and
why?
He said, so this reveals my own idiosyncrasies and I guess insecurities, because Gabe asked that same question and I realized I had no fucking reason to think he didn't like me. I just operated under the assumption that unless I have confirmation that someone likes me, I assume they're like, that idiot. Don't like him.
Kevin Durant?
Right, I just assumed. And then Gabe was like, I don't think that's accurate.
Yeah, I don't think No, I know who I don't like. You're not on the list.
Yeah.
No,
should we do that?
Should
we just go
that's the
do
B
a draft?
Block. Yeah, we're going to do the
media
B
members
block.
we don't like.
My list it's not long, but it's good. It's a good list.
Yeah, you know what? That's confirmed. Mine as well. It's a short list, but it's bolstered by the fact that it's not just that I dislike them. It's a visceral hatred and rooting for their demise. But we can save that for another
fine.
day. Maybe
well,
second edition of the pod.
We'll start on a positive, kind of a positive note, because we were going to start with Kevin Durant, and we will obviously get to Kevin Durant, but Serena Williams just in the last, hour or so has, it's funny because there's some people are reporting it has suggested, but she basically said she's retiring after the U.S. Open to concentrate on things that are, more important to her. I'm assuming family and empire building. Yeah. So, I feel like this is going to be a big hole left by Serena Williams. We've had a taste of it without her lately, but now it's going to be official. How are you taking this?
Yeah. And I mean, she's obvious. I mean, this goes without saying, but one of the greatest athletes ever. I think the greatest female athlete ever. And I think that she was one of the people that proved that women's sports can be as highly rated and as intriguing as their male counterparts in the right context. Like, we haven't yet had an opportunity to where, and I don't know what female athlete would have to come around for the WNBA to gain the type of traction compared to the NBA that the women's tour gained compared to the men's tour. But Serena being American, Serena being so overwhelming, the fact that we saw her from the very beginning because her sister was already a superstar, and then she was just, she's going to have, I know she's, unless she wins the U.S. Open, going to, I guess, fall one shy of passing Margaret Court, but she's going to have every tennis record that matters, and it also feels like she probably could have won 15 more if she didn't have her hands in so many other endeavors and empire building, like you said, and is just an all-time legendary American athlete. And you're right, I don't know it, Simona Halep is not going to get people excited the way, there is no one, I don't think Osaka is as naturally gifted as Serena. I don't know. I think she is a truly once-in-a-lifetime athlete.
We need a female Kyrgios. If we could get a female Kyrgios, I feel like that could be the person.
Sure.
That would maybe, at least I can only speak personally, that I would be interested in. You know what's crazy about that, mentioning when she first started? People may not remember this. I do remember it because she was just the little sister. We only knew Venus. And we're like, oh, okay, so her sister plays tennis too. Okay, great. And it was not long before she was the story. And it's crazy for me to remember that because it wasn't that long ago. Seems like it was, but it wasn't.
It was because Venus came out and Venus was the best in the world.
Yeah.
And no one assumed that her little sister was going to be better than her because she was the best in the world. And in short order, it wasn't even close. It was demonstrable and it was not debatable. And it also, by the way, speaks to, on the men's side of things, obviously, you have 3 guys with 20-plus majors, and they all played around the same time. And it's like, hold on, if one of them didn't play tennis, would one of these guys have 35 majors? Like, and you wonder with Venus and Serena, if Venus didn't play, if Venus, you know what I mean, you had the story they had, but then said, I'm going to do something else, would Serena have 30? Or flip side, if Serena didn't play,
oh my gosh,
would Venus have gotten to 15 or whatever
Probably.
it was? I think so. I mean, she was just, and I go to the U.S. Open every year. We don't talk tennis on the show because it's not a great television sports talk thing, but I love tennis. Tennis in person is awesome. Mm-hmm. And I have made 2 really bad strategic ticket buying errors, Michelle, because I bought 4 season tickets to the Brooklyn Nets 5 days before Katie demanded a trade. I'm going to go ahead and say I bought at the top of the market. I'm going to go ahead and say that was a bad call.
That is not good business.
And I was offered last week to buy U.S. Open tickets. Uh-oh. And I was like, every year I buy them like as I'm walking up to the stadium.
Right.
You know what I mean? Once the day's already started and I get them for 40% off. But now that every Serena match could be her final match, I feel like those tickets are going to double or higher. So yeah, bad job by me.
That was
couple
tough
times
though.
over.
That one, look, you can't. It is going to make the U.S. Open. Well, it was already must watch. I mean the Grand Slams, but it's going to be interesting. I'm kind of glad she told us before. Normally I'd be like, oh, look at me, la la la. But she deserves it, and so I'm glad we know that she's planning on retiring afterwards, so we can sort of treasure it and watch it, and they can give her all the tributes that they're going to give her, and I'm all here for it. So you'll get those tickets back. It'll happen.
No, listen, I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna pay through the nose for it. But it's just, it will be very cool for the New York crowd.
Yeah.
To be when she hasn't always obviously been treated great by tennis crowds.
Shocking.
For the New York crowd, I would imagine will give her a standing ovation before and after every match, as long as she's in the tournament.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I'm excited for that. But, the good news is everything's coming out in New York right now, as it should be. And you mentioned the Brooklyn Nets, and now we begin. What the hell is Kevin Durant doing, honestly?
Let me see if I can sway you on this. I think Kevin Durant, this last move was a kind of brilliant move.
The ultimatum move.
Because I think it's the only, because here's the thing. I don't think he necessarily even wants Nash fired. I think Nash is his friend. I think he believes Brooklyn was considering keeping him. And now he made that untenable. I think he went there and said, fire these guys and I'll stay. Knowing Joe Tsai's not firing them.
Right.
But also knowing once I leak that, you can't then ask these guys to work with me. So I have now handcuffed your ability to keep me. Because you can't say you respect Nash as a coach, you being Joe Tsai, and then tell him to coach me when I said I only want to be here if he's gone. I wouldn't even be shocked. Again, this is just wild speculation. If he gave Nash a heads up,
I was going to ask
hey,
you.
buddy, you're gonna hear some things. It's not personal. It's business, and I want out of here. And it seems like they're not going to trade me. And now I feel like they have to trade him, Michelle. But I don't think you can run it back.
Like what? So what? Now they have to trade you. They're not getting what they want. So I wouldn't trade him. I don't care. I'm going to be like, look, you need to just man up and stop being a baby. And it's going to be awkward. And maybe we all need to have like a couple drinks together and hash it out. But let me ask you this. Let's just say that that is true, right? And he goes to Nash before and he's like, look, dude, we're boys. Like, I'm just going to warn you. I'm about to say some stuff. It's crazy. Just go with it. Okay. Would you be cool with any of this? Because publicly, it is quite humiliating.
If I'm Steve Nash?
Yeah.
Well, if I'm Steve Nash, I don't love it, but I'm also like, yeah, boy, no one wanted to make me a head coach, and I got to be one of the highest paid head coaches because you told them to hire me. So I guess this goes with the this kind of comes with the territory of I got this job because you said that you and Kyrie said to hire me. Steve Nash, I know everybody loves him, has done a miserable job as a head coach.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's a great guy. Speaking of tennis, I hear he's an awesome tennis player. He is not a good NBA basketball head coach. And there's no reason to expect he would have been. He has no training, and he did an internship with the Warriors, and that's it. And so, yeah, I understand that this is, in the short term, a bad look for Durant.
Sure.
But in the long view, this is the best possible outcome for the NBA. And here's why, Michelle. The Nets are not a contender.
No.
They never have been. They never will be. But by breaking them up, we unlock all these other contenders. Kevin goes to Boston, and they're awesome and really can compete with Milwaukee even if they're healthy. Kyrie, and I know you love this one, goes and reunites with LeBron. And oh my goodness, do we have KD versus LeBron? Boston versus the Lakers?
We don't.
Both teams gunning for banner 18? Oh, I think we do.
That is good.
Oh, my good. And do we have in the conference finals, do we have LeBron versus the Warriors again? But it's a fair matchup this time? Oh, we do. This is what everyone should hope for. It's the best case scenario for the NBA.
Okay, so
I love it.
Do you think realistically now that they pull off this trade? And is it Boston? Like, it's only Boston. Or do you think the Raptors are still in this at all?
No, I don't think the Raptors are in it. Because even if they would include Scotty Barnes, what is very clear is you only want to trade for Durant if A, he wants to be there in some capacity, and B, you can win a championship. And the Raptors would have to trade Scotty Barnes and either Siakam or Fred VanVleet, whomever. Whomever is left over, it would be the worst team Kevin Durant has played on since he was on the Sonics.
God, that'd be awesome.
No, for real.
But it'd be great.
It would be the worst team. The trade that seemingly I'm the only person promoting, which I think is the best return the Nets could get and the best place for him to win, is New Orleans. Because I think Brandon Ingram plus one role player, you can pick who you want it to be, call it Larry Nance, and they have 30 first-round picks. They can give all the picks. I think Ingram's a better player than Jaylen Brown, so you get the young all-star, all the picks, and KD is your number one option, Zion is your number two option, and CJ McCollum is an overqualified third option.
I'm watching.
That team can win right now.
No, I'm watching.
And by the way, Willie Green coached with the Warriors, and he and Durant have a good relationship. So,
I actually like
but
this.
Nobody seems to like New Orleans except me.
I mean,
I think it's a top 5 American city.
Oh, I
love it.
Eating, it's top 2 probably.
Yep.
It's probably New York, New Orleans, Chicago.
If you're young, single, and rich, okay. So some of the most beautiful women in the world, amazing culture, amazing food. Yeah. I'd be a god, and I can get anywhere quickly.
That's true too.
I don't know.
No, actually, I would watch this. Because that New Orleans team, when CJ got there, was really fun to watch through the end part of the season. Like, exciting, and you could see something was happening. Oh my God, I'm all in on this idea.
And what is Brandon Ingram? A poor man's Kevin Durant.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what he is.
And he seems to be doing okay. He's okay. All right, I like this one better.
No,
okay, so this is the one thing I thought of when I woke up this morning. It's the first thing I thought of, which is weirdly it was. But if you could give Kevin Durant a truth serum right now and be like, hey, of all of this stuff that you've done, because he's not a bad guy, he does great things, but he does a lot of weird stuff too that we question. If you could take all of the weird stuff back, because to me it feels like he's spiraling and like now he's just doing more and more crazy things. Do you think he would do it all differently, or do you think he would do exactly what he's done with these sort of bizarro world?
No, I think there's two like fork in the road moments for KD that I think at the very least he would ponder long and hard over. The first one is going to the Warriors. We don't have to relitigate that.
Right.
But what I think is missed in how we discuss that is people were not upset or would not have been nearly as upset with him leaving Oklahoma City if he had gone literally to any other team in the league except for Cleveland. Mm-hmm. You know, he couldn't join LeBron, obviously. But anyone else, if he had done anything else, the blowback wouldn't have been there. And I think the next real question, and this is where, and I don't know Kevin personally, so I don't know. This is just, if I were him, which is a dangerous thing to do. The next one is, should I have, and the answer to this on a logical level is obviously no, but should I have teamed up with Kyrie? Or did I get intoxicated by the talent and not look at the reality of it? I don't think he regrets leaving the Warriors. And I think one of the most unfair things the media has done over the last 18 months, particularly the last few months, is have this take. Why'd KD ever leave the Warriors? That was stupid. And it's like, hey, you know why? Because we in the media shit on him for 3 years for going there.
Yeah.
We all, and I'm speaking, I shouldn't speak for you, but a lot of us said, I don't care if you win 8 straight championships. I don't care how many shots you hit in LeBron's face. All the rings count for 10 cents on the dollar. So win 10 of them and you get one of them. Everyone said that. And so, and then he leaves and everyone's like, oh boy, sure seems like you could have won a lot more titles there. If I were him, I'd be like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Well, he is. He's saying that to all of us all the time. And
so I don't blame him for leaving there.
Right.
I think, and I have made, listen, he has done a lot of things that intentionally or not are following in the blueprint of LeBron. But there's 2 things missing. One is he skipped the step that fixed all the hurt feelings for LeBron folks, which is the return and the win. So like if KD got, is traded to Oklahoma City, who by the way, I'm just going to draw a few parallels. The Cleveland Cavaliers had an, all-star caliber point guard who'd never played in a big game. The Oklahoma City have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The Cleveland Cavaliers had a top 2 pick who they could have either kept or traded for an all-star. Oklahoma City as Chet Holmgren. And they have all the assets to make the trade, but he doesn't seem to want to go back there. If KD had done that, then he's allowed to do, and of course he's allowed to do anything he wants, but the media then gives him a pass on it. The other thing that KD, and KD had some very interesting tweets about a month ago when he was talked about leadership. And he basically argued, being a leader is not my job. It is the coach's job. My job is to go kick ass on the basketball court. And it feels odd for me to say KD doesn't understand this about sports, but don't take my word for it. Just take the word of almost any other all-time great athlete. They will tell you that is not true. That the leadership must come from someone who is a, top-level player on a team. And that is one thing that for all the criticisms or foibles one LeBron has, what no one can deny is, for good or for bad, he has been the unquestioned leader and heartbeat of every team he's been on, and he gets guys to fall in line. And so, and KD looks at it as, my job's out here to go out and score the easiest 30 anyone's ever scored. And if that's not enough, then that's a you guys problem. And I kind of understand where he's coming from, but it's one of the reasons why he hasn't won as much as he probably should have.
And it's also interesting coming from him because we all know, we're very aware now of his business acumen and what he's trying to do off the court. And I mean, a lot of that is leadership. Like it is part of, if you want to do great things, you have to step up. And I'll be curious to see 10, 15 years from now as a businessman, if he changes his mind on what makes a leader or who's a leader, who's supposed to be a leader. But hey, look, it could change in 10 minutes. He might get what he wants in 10 minutes. I just find it all amazingly dramatic.
Where do you want him to go? Or you want him to stay?
I think he gets stuck there. I just feel like he's not going anywhere, and then it's just going to make for the biggest distraction, every game. Oh, God, awful.
See, that's why I don't think it happens, I don't think the Nets can look themselves in the mirror and say, oh, yeah, we can overcome this and win a championship.
Oh, no.
And if you can't win a championship with it this year, then this is the last chance you have to get anything back for Kyrie. You need draft picks. And the older Kevin Durant gets, and the less years left on the contract, the more of a depreciating asset he becomes.
Yeah.
And so it'd be one thing if they had reason to believe, gut it out and win the title. But this team was 16 wins away from winning a title. Their additions are Ben Simmons, Royce O'Neal, and TJ Warren. That threesome wouldn't win the big three, much less be enough to put you over the top for a championship.
I know, but an ultimatum, if I'm Joe Tsai, Like, I hate ultimatums. You present me with an ultimatum, I will 100% do exactly what you don't want. That's why I feel like he's put a lot of grown-ass men with egos in a bad situation. And so nobody really wins. Like, it's just, either I give in and you get your way, which I don't want to do, or I don't give in and you don't get your way and we lose anyway. So it's just a shit sandwich is what it is. He's really, really muddied this one up. But we'll see. I'm glad I'm not them, because I'm too stubborn. I'd be like, I'll just tank this whole team just out of spite.
But I guess the flip side to that is they tried to. The NBA is not the real world, right?
Yeah.
It is an odd spot where contracts matter until they don't.
Yeah.
And owners are on almost equal footing with a few select employees across the league. And they had every single person following basketball, casually or hardcore, if they were asked, hey, would you give Kyrie 4 years of max money, would say, of course not. If someone said, has Kyrie earned 4 years of max money? Of course not. With all that said, if they had done that, they still have a team. If they had acted, when they initially assigned Kyrie, they looked at it as, okay, maybe we want Kyrie, maybe we don't, but it comes with Kevin Durant, so it's a no-brainer.
Right.
They miscalculated that if we torch our relationship with Kyrie, it torches our relationship with Durant. And then all of a sudden we are Ben Simmons' team. So I think that they mismanaged that. And I also think that it is very difficult to go from KD and Kyrie run the team. You don't want Atkinson, he's gone. You want DeAndre, no problem. You want us to trade everyone for Harden, we'll do it. You want us to change our stance on the vaccine, whether you're going to be a part-time player, deal. We'll do all of it. And then all of a sudden, come in and be like, we're changing the culture and taking our organization back, and you're going to be on a prove-it deal. Those guys, like I am in my household, my wife's the disciplinarian. I'm the kind of, the good cop,
Yeah.
if you will. Yeah, sure. So there's a couple elements to that, in addition to the fact that it irritates the hell out of my wife. One is, if I raise my voice even a tiny bit, my kids react like I struck them. Why are you yelling at me? I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But because it's not what they recognize from me. And the other thing is, when I try to get stern, no matter what voice I use, I think when I leave the room, they're like, Daddy doesn't get it. Give it time. And so I think that you can't be that type of team with these guys for years and then all of a sudden abruptly shift course when clearly at the end of the year, Kyrie thought he gave himself a promotion at the end of the year. He said he, Sean, Katie, and Joe are going to sit down and build the roster. And they're like, buddy, that negotiation with yourself is not going to go well.
It is a hot ass mess for what I had hoped would be one of the good fun stories in the NBA. But maybe this is more fun. Maybe this is more good. It's gooder. Yeah. But we're going to take a quick break. But before that, how do we get your son to play Byron Scott? Like, what do we need to do? Is it a petition thing or...
So, I don't know. I feel like you have Hollywood juice.
I was in Sharknado too, I think. So, yeah, you're right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you've been in commercials. You're like legit famous. I don't know. You've got to know someone or have some representation. Here's the thing. My son is 6'3".
Dang, okay.
Has the exact same build as Byron Scott. Played college basketball. Has a measured at his, when he was playing college basketball, 38-inch vertical.
Okay. And
a silky jump shot. Now, you might be like, so why did he only play junior college basketball? Well, he has growing pains as a youth, and then whatever. But now he's 24. He's the exact age Byron Scott would be in winning time. He has the same haircut. He's slightly lighter skinned, but I would imagine, you can do filters and stuff. You can fix that. He is the perfect Byron Scott.
Now, can he act? Can he act? Do we know if he can act?
It says in the thing, acting experience irrelevant. Basketball experience is what we're looking for.
Huh.
And unlike some of the other people that have higher level basketball experience, you don't want it to be someone that the audience like, oh, I remember him playing for Auburn.
Exactly.
That's distracting.
I agree with that.
You want it to be someone like, where'd they find this guy? And the answer is the What's Right podcast. His co-host.
Okay, this has to happen. I mean, yeah, I'm like staring at a picture of them both. I'm like, this would be kind of badass if this happened. Because that has, what I've seen of the show is the guys that are playing, like Magic, they're not necessarily one or the other. They just happen to be good enough at both skills, right? The acting and the basketball. So,
yes.
And they were not big names.
And I don't think Byron Scott's going to have a big role in the plot.
He just needs to be there and be handsome. Byron Scott needs to be there.
He needs to be there, be handsome, and play basketball.
Yeah, do that. Smile.
And so I think he can do it.
Okay.
I think he can do it.
I'm in on this.
Trying to make it
I
happen.
to know somebody. Okay.
All right, thank you, Michelle.
We'll take a quick break. We're going to call some agents and whatnot, and we'll be right back. As you gear up for fall, you need the right people on your team to help your small business fire on all cylinders. LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then add your job in the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile and spread the word that you're hiring so your network can help you find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/Beadle. That's linkedin.com/Beadle to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Okay, here we go. I'm not even going to argue with you on this, but because obviously we're on a path right now to best friendship, and I think anyone watching and listening is probably very aware of that. They can feel it.
Very clear.
But we do need to, as best friends, make sure our differences are not breaking. I know that you did the top 50 players in the last 50 years, which I laugh every time I hear you explaining it to people because they'll bring up, what about? And you're like, the last 50 years.
They're like, oh, Nick, big oversight. You didn't include Bill Russell or Wilt Chamberlain. I'm like, listen, idiots. You think I made a list that includes Dwight Howard and Sidney Moncrief, and I just forgot about Wilt.
I laugh every time. I laugh every time I hear you.
Correct. Yeah, it's Kareem's rookie year to now.
But oh yeah, exactly. That's the cutoff. But you have LeBron as #1, which obviously, not to be a basic ass bitch, but it is one half of the debate that will last our lifetimes as MJ and LeBron. And you have MJ at 3. How much flack have you gotten because of that? Just the top 3.
Well, I've gotten, no one was surprised that I had LeBron at 1. The surprise was that I had Kareem at 2. But I would ask you this, Michelle. If someone were to come over to your house and say, can I see your studio? I want to look at your shoes.
Sure.
Because it's quite the collection. And they were to say, pick out your 3 favorite pairs.
Okay.
And you had to do it. And these are, of all your shoes, your 3 favorites. And then they were to say, okay, rank them. One of those pairs that at different moments you might say, this is my favorite, would actually come in 3rd. Someone was like, hey, who are the 3 best presidents ever? It's like, well, I don't know. George Washington started the thing, put him on the list. Lincoln did some important things. I'll give him there. And FDR was elected 4 times.
That's fair.
So, I don't know too much about the New Deal, but people seem to like it. It's like, okay, those are the 3 best ever. One of them's 3rd. Point being, when 3 guys have an argument for GOAT, someone who has an argument for GOAT is actually 3rd. That is definition.
Yeah.
So, the real question is, do Kareem and LeBron have arguments? And the answer is, of course they do. On the Kareem side of things, if we were to, again, remove the mythology around Michael Jordan, and we were to say, okay, there are these 3 guys that we're trying to decide who's the best. And it's like, all right, give me the resume of each of them. And one's like, okay, of the 3, this guy scored the most points. Okay. Of all of them. He has the most MVPs of all of them. He is tied for the most championships of all of them. and he is tied for the most finals appearances of all of them. It's like, oh, okay, he's got a really good argument. And everyone's like, actually, no. No one even mentions him. In fact, some people have him sixth.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, maybe did people not do their research? And by the way, I was one of those people. Because as you know, people on Twitter love to find old tweets and send them to you. And they're like, oh, explain yourself from this one,
you?
Nick, when you were 24 years old. And I have a tweet from 2011 that has Kareem behind Magic and Mike.
Okay.
Has LeBron 12th, by the way.
Okay, 2011.
Which means
okay. That's fine. That's all right.
2011. Yeah. And people are like, oh, what did Kareem do in the last decade to move up? And the answer is nothing, but I hadn't done the research. And I hate hearing do your own research when it comes to things that people go to school for, or science or medicine. But when it comes to sports history, it's actually pretty fucking easy. You go to YouTube, go to the reference pages, you read the articles. And I just felt that Kareem, for a lot of reasons, was unfairly covered during his era because he was, we don't do well with outspoken black men in 2022. How about 1972 of an outspoken black man turned Muslim who changed his name?
Good Lord.
How do you think he was
How sad
covered
is that?
by the old sports press? So there was that. And there was also the fact that when Kareem was at his best, which was the 70s, for most people, the NBA history started in the 80s. So Kareem's longevity, I think, works against him. Because I think most people remember Kareem with goggles alongside Magic as the second option. Right. If he had retired earlier, it maybe, and you had no memories of him, then I think that actually could work in his benefit. So I think Kareem deserves to be in the discussion. We don't have to relitigate LeBron thing. I think he is. I just think he has had a greater basketball career and has shown the ability to win under different circumstances more than any player ever. And he is bigger, stronger, faster than Michael Jordan. That tends to help. All those.
He's definitely bigger.
The biggest knock on Jordan is simply the length of it. Kareem and LeBron are going to have played almost double the real career that Jordan played. And that's got to matter as long as all of them, none of them were the Akeem or Patrick Ewing at the very end. Kareem, at age 40, averaged 22 a game in the finals. Jordan is lionized at age 40 for averaging 20 a game for a 37-win Wizards team.
Well,
LeBron last year at age 19 or year 19 averaged 30 a game. So that's the argument. And I also think some of the Jordan stuff's just bullshit, Michelle, if I'm being totally honest. ESPN does a poll, who's the greatest college player of all time? Jordan wins it.
No.
I had to listen to when somebody said Kyrie is the best finisher at the basket, like under the rim ever. I had to listen to one of my colleagues say, no, it's Michael Jordan. If they did a poll today, who's the tallest player in NBA history, Jordan would get 35% of the vote.
Well,
we're like, I think it's Jordan.
It's the absence thing. It's like it's been so long since we've seen him, and for many of us, he was sort of our formative NBA fandom years. That it's like it's the legend. It just grows and grows and grows. I think that's part. Look, I'm in that camp. Like he's obviously my favorite of all time, and I get it.
You like him more than Duncan?
No, I mean, as far as I'm always going to be a Spurs fan, but for me, Michael Jordan was, and I think I'm the majority of people in that era. Like, I had posters all over he's the reason I started watching basketball. And then, moving here and going to Spurs, and I was like, oh, okay, I have a team now. I wasn't a Bulls fan. I was just a Michael Jordan fan. And so that was my start.
Well, I also think, and you're too young for this to apply to you, but the generation of media that is a touch older than you, that is also the generation of retired players who get to have big platforms, a lot of them, a ton of their own legacy is tied to Jordan being the unquestioned GOAT. So if you are one guy I love and one guy who's fine, Charles Barkley and Reggie Miller, you are incentivized that Michael Jordan's the greatest ever. Why didn't you win a title? Well, I was up against the greatest ever. If you are if you are a broadcaster who made his bones in the 90s, you want to represent that as the NBA on NBC, Snapper Jones and Walton and Costas and John Tesh's music as the apex of basketball, as opposed to an era of basketball where your second best player could be John Starks and you were a contender, as opposed to an era of basketball where you could have two power forwards named Antonio and Dale Davis, and it's like, you know what, might win the title. And so you're like, there are a lot of people whose money and legacies and reputations are inextricably, and for other people, it's not money, legacy, and reputations, it is something even more powerful. Childhood nostalgia is tied to, I was watching a god, and now as we're adults watching someone who I think is clearly better, we don't have that childlike eyes on it, and it doesn't feel as special. So we're like, no, it just doesn't feel the same. But I have heard, like, people, and this isn't me, the straw man, people argue part of Jordan's GOAT case as, who has the greatest selling shoes ever? Well, he made bald heads cool. He was the best dressed. And it's like, you got to be kidding me.
Dressed? Those suits were awful, and those jeans. He still wears those shitty dad jeans. Well,
right. Well, now at the time, I actually think he was well dressed for the era. The problem is he got stuck in a time capsule for the era of the oversized acid wash.
True
jeans.
or false? LeBron James won't shave his head because Michael Jordan was always bald.
I think it's false. I think LeBron James won't shave his head because he still thinks, you know what, I'm pulling.
He's holding on. Holding
on
for dear life.
I'm holding on.
Gotta wear hats, man. Gotta wear hats. Okay. F1. Yeah. Yes, we both love that, right?
Yeah. I don't know anything about it.
Don't do this.
Verstappen.
You love him?
Hamilton.
Do you love Verstappen?
I know nothing about him. Well, I just know the names.
It's good order. I mean, well, no, it's fine. Okay, fine. We're gonna get you to that. But there's a tie-in because I actually saw this morning. It's F1 into Top Gun because I saw a thing today that Tom Cruise was going to have Lewis Hamilton play one of the fighter pilots, but the season was scheduled did not work out, which bums. I know. Wow. So, but that really allows me to say, Top Gun, greatest movie or best movie? Okay, so this is where Gabe, our fellow producer, is trying to set me up to be crushed. So here's the thing. I think Tom Cruise is one of the greatest movie stars of any era. I think that Mission Impossible 3 through 7 is the greatest series of action movies ever made. Yeah. I also think that there are these, again, this is kind of similar to my Jordan take. There are these movies from the 80s, like one of them, and I can never remember the name of it, but I know Keanu Reeves is in it, and he says, I am an FBI agent. Oh. Yeah, that. Okay. I can't imagine, like a lot of those movies that people are like, oh my God, they're unbelievable. Here's all I want them to, here's the only thing I want these people to understand. I want them to understand that in 25 years, there's going to be a crop of 40-somethings that are going to be like, oh, let me tell you, the cinematic masterpiece that was Vin Diesel, Paul Walker, and Fast and the Furious. Yeah. And they're gonna stand on it the same way everyone tries to sell me that Top Gun is just an all-time movie. It is an all-time movie. It's the same thing. All-time American cinematic masterpiece. But I'm with you because I am the nostalgia. Like I go to Def Leppard concerts still. And that's all I want to do. Like 40 years from now, they're gonna be going to Halsey concerts. Like it's nostalgic and like no, it's not. It's not gonna be the same. And that bums me out because Top Gun, the second one, the one we just had, was so much fun. But 100% based on nostalgia.
Just past Titanic.
Which was
How about
awful.
that? Yesterday, past Titanic.
Movie ever made.
For like the 7th highest grossing movie ever, domestically.
America.
No, it's Tom Cruise, true movie star.
Huge movie star.
Crazy,
Crazy,
true movie star.
Maybe the devil, but true movie star in every. Oh God, they're
Maybe
gonna come
the
get me.
devil.
I'm kidding. They're.
Are you? By the way, can
Yeah.
I ask? I don't want you to reveal too much. Where geographically are you
I'm in
located?
Texas.
Are you in California?
Texas,
Oh, you're
Yeah.
in Texas.
Yeah,
Oh.
I came back to the. It's not the motherland, but it's.
Old tax dodger.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was like, California got all my monies. I'm out. Peace.
Yeah.
Between California and New York.
I lived in Texas for 4 years. I lived in
Oh,
Houston.
okay, yeah, that's Texas. That's more Texas than San Antonio.
Oh
I
God.
think. Yeah, feels like it.
Yeah. Oh, Houston is weird because Houston, within the loop
Yeah.
of the actual city, there's a highway loop, is to me a top 5 city
Fair.
in America because you can get an amazing house for almost no money. The food is unbelievable, and every type of food, incredibly diverse. There's an NBA team that matters, and that matters to me. You are not far from water. The women are gorgeous. If you're into, as I maybe was, in my youth when I was living there, the gentleman's club
that's
scene.
true.
It's top 3 in America. The problem is, it is surrounded on all sides by, how do I put this nicely, the worst people in the world. And so at any given time, you feel outnumbered. And so if you could pick Houston up and put it somewhere else,
You're Austin.
I'd live there in a
If you put it next to Austin,
Yeah.
you'd be fine.
Yeah, and then pick both those places up and put them in Colorado.
Then you're like golden. then you're fine.
Yeah. Are you in Austin or
I'm in
San Antonio? Or you don't
I'm
want
in
to
San
reveal?
Antonio. Yeah,
Okay, that's
so
what I
it's a
thought.
little
That's
more
what-
peaceful, but also, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I'm here because family and friends, not because of the state itself. If we're being honest, we differ on a lot of things, and that's fine. So now I feel like Gabe's setting us up because it says gambling. Does that mean you're pro or anti?
Oh, I mean, I'm what you call a gambling
Oh, good. Okay.
So I guess that makes me
Yeah.
pro. No, listen, I'll tell you a very quick story, Michelle, or I guess 2 quick stories. I was 12 years old. I didn't know, my dad had kind of a checkered past before he got married, barely graduated high school, caught on to the fire department and turned his life around. Ended up getting a law degree, a master's, and was president of the Firefighters Union for 30 years, okay? But I didn't know that as a kid, he was a hustler and ran, some gambling operations, right? So we get a pool, we go to play pool, get a small pool table in the basement of our house. My dad and I were playing 9-ball. And it's like $3 on the 5, $5 on the 9. And I get up $40 on him. I beat him 5 in a row and hit the 3 and the 9, or the 5 and the 9 each time. And he's like, I'm 12. He's like, got to give me a chance to win it back. I'm like, no problem. You stink at this. He's like, okay, then we got to raise the stakes. I'm like, no problem. You stink at this. And in the course of 90 minutes, he won it all back and got it to where I owed him $112, which I'm 12 years old, so that might as well be $7,000. I have no way to pay it. And my dad told me, okay, $10 a month for the next year. You got to figure it out. I'm like, that's $120. He's like, yeah, that's a low vig. And his thought was, that's going to teach my son the risks of gambling. Taught his son a different lesson. Man, if you figure this out, you can make a lot of money doing this. And then, smash cut a decade later, Michelle. I'm fresh out of college. I auditioned to be on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Get on it. Win 50 grand. They send you the check. They don't even take out the taxes. You're responsible for that.
I hate that.
No, you're responsible for it. And I live in Kansas City. It's fresh off the internet. Poker boom. I had won all this money playing poker in college. There's 5 brick and mortar casinos in Kansas City. That 50 grand did not last long, Michelle. But you know what I call that? I call that an investment. That's like my postgraduate education. So yeah, I'm noting to play a game of chance or two. I recently was on TV playing Phil Hellmuth in a heads-up poker match for
Poker's
50 grand.
That's
I
a
didn't win
time
that.
investment too. That's not just money. That's time. That's a lot.
Oh yeah, but that's like me. That's like me because I always wanted to be an NBA player. I realized around like 12, it's
Same.
not going to happen. But that to me is like the closest I'll ever come to playing pro sports is playing poker against professionals with real stakes. You know what I mean? In their environment, the pressure of all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I gamble. So I don't know what you want to talk about.
No,
with
I just want to
gambling,
make sure
but
you
I'll
were
talk
pro
about
because the way I was like, oh, is he setting it up like you're anti? And then am I going to be sad about it? And
No, there's some great new poker rooms in Houston.
Really?
By the way, unbelievable. Sammy Farha opened one. One of my friends opened one. When I lived there, I had to play in these underground games. It was terrible. Now there's legal poker in Houston.
we're getting there. Marijuana's next, Texas. Marijuana's next. I see you. Yeah, it's going to be a while.
I don't know
I'll be
about
dead.
that.
And Italy,
I don't know about
Italy,
that.
we are pro. You're going?
I'm going
Yeah,
in
where are you
3
going?
days. Well, flying into
Perfect.
Rome and then exploring from there. But here is the context of it. And again, I'll be quick. I asked you how long you want this thing to be, and now
That's
we're going
fine.
over because I'm me. I am going to Italy with my
Perfect.
wife, her best friend, who I adore, my mother,
Okay.
and my wife's grandparents, who are 89 and 92.
Wow.
So, the grandparents we took to Barcelona right before the pandemic. So when they were 90 and 87 or whatever it would be. And it was unbelievable. And so now we're all going to Rome and I can't wait. I'm Italian.
Yeah.
I could not be
Yeah, I
more
was born in
excited.
Rome. My mom's born and raised in Rome, and like that's the eating. You're gonna have to have white pizza.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I'm going to Italy in September, but I'm going for F1. But born and raised. We have a house like an hour north of Rome that no one's been to in 3 years.
Do you have dual citizenship?
I do, but I have to get my passport done again, and it's really not that easy. It's a pain in the ass, but I thought about it.
But that's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
so the food alone
That's
is
a
like
good little exit plan if you need one.
exactly. When
The
things
old-
hit the fan, as they tend to do. Has anyone been? Like, I'm so excited for you guys because to me, you have to go. You have to.
I
go.
did that. Let me show you something real quick before we go, because I'm such a nerd. This is like my brand is cool nerd. Like I have the diamond chains and a super hot wife, but like I'm just a nerd. And so like that's kind of the brand I lean into. I did this yesterday. This right here.
Shut your mouth.
Plus this and this and then this. This is the Rome.
Your play-by-play.
Everything I need to know.
This is your-
So this is all the vintage shops because my wife has a boutique in New York City that she shops for around the world. By the way, people should check it out. It's called Trentage. It's in Harlem. It's on 119th and Lenox. This is the restaurants, which is what I care about. This is the monuments that I want to
Good
go
Lord.
see. And so by the way, this is my Rome trip. This is my TV show
That's
for today.
amazing.
Like, this is, I just have a manila folder with different color Sharpie for every
That's
show I've
very-
ever done and for every trip I've
Very
ever
play-by-play.
taken.
Like those guys, that's how they do it. That's how they do it.
Yeah, that's right. And I
like that.
Yeah, I was never allowed to do play-by-play. Got cut from the staff as a freshman in college. Syracuse,
It's overrated.
Get out of here.
It's better to do it this way.
Yeah, it's overrated. Who wants to talk
Thank
without
you.
giving your opinion?
I'm not interested.
Seems
Just painting pictures
miserable.
with words. I'm out.
Seems
all right,
miserable.
taking one last break, and then we'll come back and we'll say goodbye. But Italy.
Okay.
We're back. I'm just thinking about Italian food right now. It's fine. It's totally fine. I'm going to end on one thing. I want to ask you this question. I don't know if you saw it on Instagram or wherever the hell it was over the weekend, but is this next story crazy, brilliant, or both? So the story synopsis basically is a woman ordered some food, I believe it was Del Taco, to be delivered to her home address. Now, she's not home, but her husband is. Husband's supposed to be there alone. She gets in contact with the delivery driver, says, hey, look, I don't need you to drop the food off. As a matter of fact, don't drop the food off. But I've tipped you an extra $10. All I want you to do is go and tell me what cars are in the driveway. It goes, and that was, we're trying to figure out brilliant, crazy, or both.
Crazy. Did the delivery driver do it?
He said, okay, I'm in line at Del Taco now, but he's going to, yeah. It's kind of nuts.
I don't love that,
It's
Michelle.
opening up a can, right?
I don't love it. I feel like you're inserting yourself into someone else's affairs, no pun intended, and
Unless if there are no cars in the driveway, then I can be like, okay, nothing's here. maybe. But if there is,
I don't love that. Listen, we all live in a surveillance state as is, but I don't also now need to worry about my seamless guy. You know what I mean? Peering in. You're like, and there's.
Although if he was smart and enterprising, you knock on the door, sir. I've been in contact with your wife, and I noticed you've got extra cars in your driveway. For this fee, I can tell her the driveway's empty.
Well, of course. Yeah. Of course,
I don't
play
care.
them against each other, of course. Have you ever asked a delivery driver to, like, make an extra stop?
No.
Because that used to be our big thing in college. In college, before the Seamless and stuff existed, but you could still get food delivered if you called the place directly. We'd call the place and be like, hey, also, by the way, really need a pack of smokes and a 12-pack of beer. Like, yeah, we were in Syracuse, and I think they understood. They were like, you don't want to brave this snow. I'm going out there anyway. And it's like, listen, I'll tip you extra. Can you please do it?
That's fair.
Yeah, that's yeah, I mean, I think that's a win-win for all parties involved. I don't think if I called on like, hey, I need to do all this. Also, can you see if my girlfriend's cheating on me?
Too much pressure. I don't want it.
I think I'd opt out of that. So I'm just going to say it's crazy.
Crazy, brilliantly crazy. Yeah. First things first, Fox Sports 1. What's Right? Which is where we're also going to see the future Byron Scott.
And podcasts.
So I'm pretty excited about that. That's going to happen. We're going to make that happen.
Yeah.
I'm glad this finally happened. I feel like this is good. It's the beginning of a beautiful relationship.
Me too. I'm glad
I don't even know where
dislike
one
me.
would get that. It's not like I've been at a party and like gave you the shit. Nothing.
No, again, it's my own idiosyncrasies. I just operate under the assumption people dislike me, and then I'm less disappointed.
I do that too, though.
You know what I mean? I operate under that. I'm like, probably not a fan of old Nick Wright. But then you get to know me, and you're like, you know what? He's a charming fella. A little too self-assured for my liking, but a charming fella.
He's got
all the
it.
same. Michelle, this was a pleasure.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you.
See you guys on the next one. The next podcast.